Oh, cheer up. I'm actually fine. How are you? I'm actually pretty happy. It's Friday. I'm in good spirits. What's up, YouTube? For everyone over on the YouTube, welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. For everybody over on the live me, welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. Forever third party asks, morning, do you got your water? Yes, I do have my water. Shakespeare, let's chill out together. Sure. Let me know when. Howdy, Marcus. Good to see ya. Everybody on the YouTube, good morning. But the chats I'm responding to are over on the live me. That's how we do things here. Wishing you. Somebody just says Merry Christmas. That's a little late. A little late for that. Joe, plans for the weekend? You know what? Not really, man. I don't have many plans this weekend. I'm just gonna get some stage time, do a couple stand-up sets, and work out a little bit. It sounds so, but yeah, I don't have any big plans. I got some shows coming up. I'm getting ready for the show in Pasadena on January 29th. So I'll be playing a lot of music this weekend. Chromatic Tree, thank you so much for the star points. But that's about it. Do you got any cool plans this weekend? And guys, we are at about 25 people now. You know that Jesse says Happy Halloween. Ha ha ha. That's funny. We should get all the holidays. We should get all the holidays before the stream's over. We are at 26 people. For those of you that don't know the drill, once we hit 30 people, that's when the show officially begins. And I'm saying 30 people over on the live me. Once we get 30 people on live me, the show officially begins. This is Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Looks like everything's going good here. We're on the YouTubes. We're on the live me's. We're rocking and rolling till the break of dawn, right? Something like that. Yeah? Okay. Huh? Right. Joe says Happy Thanksgiving. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I got one. Happy 4th of July. Happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Happy Independence Day, Marcus already. Happy St. Euro Day. That's a Finnish American holiday. Henry, nice. I appreciate it. We already got some articles. Nigel sent a few articles. We'll be getting to those to kick off. Guys, we hit 30 people. Let's do it. Marcus says Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. I like it. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. You tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. Get our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together. We'll make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. I want to know what's going on. Get our news on today. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I am Ron Placone, your host. What does that mean? World's first viewer-curated streaming news show. That means you guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone, or you post articles in our Reddit subsection, which some of you guys have been using. Not a lot of you guys have been using. Yeah, we'll totally jump into all that. Happy National Popcorn Day. Love it. So people asked, was that a red Solo cup I was drinking from? No, actually, this is an actual cup that's like a permanent cup you can use that's designed to look like a red Solo cup. It's very cheesy, very hokey. But my roommate bought a bunch of these because he saw them on sale at, I think, our local Ralph's, which is a grocery store chain here in California. They were on sale for really cheap. We were having a housewarming party, so he thought they were funny. And I decided I would never buy these ever in my life, but but you know, whatever, they do work. Somebody asked if I'm running late. I am live now. Yeah, he did. He bought a bunch of these things. So yeah, I have a bunch of these. All right, so here's Nigel sent a couple videos, which is, it's hard for us to do videos because you guys can't see them. Nobody can see them, but we'll go ahead and we'll try to dissect them the best we can. Let's see here. IRS private debt collection program is indefensible. All right, so let's see what this is all about. Let me try to get to the link here. This is from the Real News. Using private debt collection firms to collect debt from low-income Americans is not only morally reprehensible, but it's also terrible business, says white-collar criminologist Bill Black. Interesting. Very interesting. Colin, thank you so much for the star points. I appreciate you very, very, very much. And guys, if you send an article and it didn't get in, just try again, man. Just try again. Anyway, let's see here. So, yeah, using private debt collection firms to collect debt from low-income Americans is not only morally reprehensible, but it's also terrible business. Yes, it is. Why would the IRS use any third-party private debt collection is beyond me. Why that would not just be done in-house, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, debt collectors do all kinds of shady stuff. Bella, sorry you have to go. Now, keep in mind, there used to be basically no protections when it came to debt collection, quote unquote. They would publish your name in the newspaper saying you owed a debt. They would show up at your door. They would do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. That has since, it's since gotten a little better. There are like your kind of Miranda rights and stuff like that. But it's still, I mean, there's still shady practices that go on. I mean, and you know all those things people will say about debt collectors where they call and they pretend that they're your friend. They pretend like they're an acquaintance. You know, hey, is this Steve? Oh, Steve, what's going on, man? Yeah, this is Floyd from Capital One, or this is Floyd from Verizon, or this is whoever. And it's hey, this is the IRS. You owe some taxes. Hey, taxes, tax time. So yeah, I didn't even realize that the IRS like used private debt collectors and stuff. But yeah, I mean, these are shady companies, and I get it. You know, we all got to pay our bills, sure, but yeah. So thank you for sharing that, Nigel. Let's see here. There's something else you wanted to get going. Apple slowdown gate.
Consumer Rights Protection Council in China is now looking into the aftermath of Apple's.
All right, so China's Consumer Market Authority has officially begun an investigation into Apple's so-called slowdown gate. The move is one of a series of legal and regulatory actions taken by Asian countries against the American tech giant. Now, keep in mind, basically, Apple had gotten kind of caught where they're basically slowing down older iPhones on purpose. And this is something that they've kind of subtly done for a long time. But now apparently there's been, and we did a video about it over at the Jimmy Dore Show, where they've caught Apple kind of having these mechanism designs to slow down older iPhones. And Apple got caught doing it. They got caught kind of diminishing your battery. As a response, Apple created a more affordable battery for people to buy. So basically, because they got caught, they had to make a battery that people should just have anyway. You know, I mean, if there's an affordable new battery to have your phone last longer, why would that not just be available to the public? Well, because they want you to buy a new phone. And they do that subtly anyway, because, you know, you have to have all these software updates, you know, and if you don't update, your phone will start screwing up. Anyone that owns an iPhone knows exactly what I'm talking about. And eventually your phone gets slower. Eventually, you know, the mechanics start to go on it. Because I think they want you to buy a new phone every couple of years. That's just how it works. They want your phone to, they know that if you don't have the most cutting edge phone, you can't compete because other people will have it. So they want you to get a new one every couple of years, and that's how they can make the most profit. So, you know, a Chinese commission is looking into this. They're looking into some of the intentional slowdown, and this has gotten the nickname Slowdown Gate, which is interesting. I had not heard this until now. And we'll see what comes of it. Honestly, though, I have a feeling not a lot. Because, I mean, again, Apple has already been doing these subtle things to make sure you buy a new phone every couple of years. I think that's how the model works. Disposable technology should be cheaper, Long Beach says. I agree with you. Yes, no fix for iPhones. Next generation allow you to turn off. Why no patch? I don't know exactly what you're saying there, but yeah, it sounds like I'm with you. I don't know exactly what you're saying. It will prove old iPhone won't die on the timetable they state. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you that a disposable technology should be more affordable. And yeah, I mean, they build these iPhones so that they die every couple years, but they got caught doing something like very, very above the table. Like they got caught where it's like, okay. And I think this is one of those situations where they were pushing their luck. You know, they were like, let's see how much we can get away with. Let's see if we can kind of intentionally slow down these batteries and no one will notice. Well, people did notice. So now they got to throw people an affordable battery. I have a feeling that's all we're going to see from this, but we'll see. All right. We got more articles here, and I need a little bit of water from my my sort of red Solo cup. Thank you for those submissions, Nigel. Marcus sends this. Here's some not so negative news for a little bit of uplifting. Kimmy, how is your ear infection? Are you all better? Yes, I am actually. Thank you so much. And it turns out I had like a kind of inner, like it was like a drainage thing. So it ended up a Z-Pack was the best thing for me. And yeah, I'm feeling much better. So here's a lighter thing before we kick into some more news here. This is from Marcus. The weird and wonderful things people keep in their cars. Mannequins, a bale of hay, 52 pies, and a false leg are just some of the weird and wonderful things Brits are keeping in their cars, a study has found. This is from The Independent over in the UK. A wicker reindeer, 2 single mattresses, and even a urine container are among the wackiest things left in the nation's cars. Others have stashed cat litter, a Ouija board, and even a wedding dress in their boot. The pool of 2,000 drivers found 1/4 are embarrassed by the cleanliness of their car, with an equal number admitting to regularly losing items in their vehicle. And 1 in 20 admitted to never cleaning the inside of their car. I am guilty of that. I would be the 1 in 20. I hardly ever clean the inside of my car. I used to live in my car. and I seldom clean the inside of it, admittedly. It's just one of those things. I know stuff would just pile up again. Now what I do, which I got to admit to this, I used to be a pet sitter and a dog walker when I first moved to Los Angeles. Because, when I first got to town, prior to moving to LA, I made my living on the road doing comedy. Like I would just drive around to comedy clubs 45 weeks a year. When I moved to LA, I didn't want to do that anymore because I wanted to be in LA and try to get an opportunity in LA. So when I first got to town, I had to kind of figure out a different way to make a living. So, I kind of got some part-time things. I was doing colleges part-time where I would do, a couple colleges a month. But I was also kind of a pet sitter on the side. So I would have animals in my car a bunch is my point. So I got like a ton, like I had so much pet hair in my car all the time. It was just inevitable. And like I had seat covers and stuff like that, but it only did so much. So what I did was I got my car detailed on the inside. And I'll tell you what, once you do that, it's hard not to want to keep doing it. And it's not the cheapest thing in the world. It's not cheap. Like I think it costs over $100, but like every now and again, you just kind of want to do it, especially if you have a reason to do it. Like I spilled some food on my front seat and it got all over the seat. And instead of like just trying to figure out myself, I was just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to get my inside detailed again. And I did that. So anyway, I can relate to not really cleaning the inside of the car. Many motorists are on the road so much that it's no surprise our cars become a home away from home. Yeah, in my case, it became the only home. Study also revealed a hamster cage, underwear, and even handcuffs are among other items hoarded in Brits' automobiles. Yeah, I guess you never know when handcuffs and underwear would be an interesting combination. If you keep handcuffs and underwear in your car, I think maybe you just want to have a sexy experience in your car, which, hey, to each their own. Some people, that might be what does it for them. I need handcuffs, underwear, and it's got to be in my car. Who are we to judge? All right. Thank you for that, Marcus. A nice lighter story. All right. So the government shutdown is looming. We got an article about it from Joseph. We're going to go there next. Jesse says, I hope they clean their car. Yeah, probably be best if they did. Dianne Feinstein, people die in a government shutdown. Senator Dianne Feinstein on Thursday ratcheted up her rhetoric against a looming government shutdown despite her stated opposition earlier in the day to a proposed short-term funding measure. Shutting down the government is a very serious thing. People die, accidents happen. You don't know. Necessary functions can cease. Calling a shutdown a last resort. Congress must pass a spending bill before Friday night. As of the recording of this, it is Friday morning or Friday afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in, to avert a government shutdown. But Democrats and Republicans have been unable to reach an agreement on a short or long-term solution. Despite her concerns, Feinstein said earlier Thursday she would not vote for a stopgap funding bill unless it included a fix for the Obama-era DACA program. We'll see if Democrats actually stick to this. Feinstein later Thursday told CNN she was undecided how she would vote on a potential short-term funding bill. Even with Feinstein's uncertainty, Senate Democrats said Thursday they have the necessary votes to block a House measure to fund the government through mid-February. Here's the thing. Democrats have got to stand their ground on this one. I don't think they're going to, but they should. And no, I don't want a government shutdown either. Nobody ever wants a government shutdown. But planting your feet in the sand, the GOP and Donald Trump knows they're going to be held responsible if a shutdown happens. It's always the people in power that get held responsible. That's how it happened when Obama was in office. That's how it'll happen if Trump's in office. So the Democrats have all the political footballs in their corner. They have every reason to stand their ground and to not compromise and to say, and then if a government shutdown does happen, be like, hey, look, all we're asking for, we're not asking for handouts for ourselves. We're asking for DACA. We're asking for CHIP. we're asking for reasonable things that help people, and the Republicans aren't letting us have it. So we'll see. Dianne Feinstein is, kind of playing politics. She's saying, hey, people die in a government shutdown. I don't want that, but you know what? You got to give us DACA. We'll see if the Democrats actually hold up to that. I think politically they should. I don't have very much confidence that they will. I think that they just kind of want to avoid a shutdown, which I totally understand why. A shutdown's not good. I'm not pro-shutdown. But I also recognize the complexity of, get what you want. But the Democrats have already flaked on DACA with, Tim Kaine leading the way. I have every reason to believe they will again, and we'll see what happens. So right now, it's still too early in the day on Friday. As of the recording of this, we'll see what happens later. And, who knows? Maybe we'll do a follow-up in real time. That'd be kind of fun. All right. We got some more stuff here. Kimmy has already warned that there is a pop-up at the start of this, so I've been warned. Joe says, or as I like to call her, wishy-washy Feinstein. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's pretty much gone lockstep with Republicans on pretty much everything. Especially in this administration. So I don't see her taking a stand here. GOP reps demand release of shocking surveillance memo. All right. A growing number of Republicans are demanding the release of a classified report that they say reveals political bias at the FBI and the Department of Justice in the investigation into possible ties between the Trump campaign and Russian election meddling. Scores of Republicans have viewed the document in a sensitive, compartmented information facility on Capitol Hill. They left expressing shock, saying the special counsel investigation into whether Trump's campaign officials had improper contacts with Russia is based on politically motivated actions at the highest level of law enforcement. I think it's based on the powers that be don't like Trump. I think it's based on the Justice Department, the FBI, the intelligence agencies. They don't like Trump. Why don't they like Trump? Is it because Trump's a morally despicable guy? Is it because his policies are brutal GOP policies? That's why I don't like Trump. Is that why they don't like Trump? No. They don't like Trump because Trump is not necessarily their best bet in continuing endless war as usual. What do the Justice do? They think in terms of defense and war because they're happy with the economy of war. That's how these people think. That's what they do. So put yourself in their shoes. They are defense experts. They think in the economy of war. Endless war is okay with them. They would never, if you say, why don't we end these wars and invest the money back home? They would look at you like you're an alien. They would look at you like you're weird. That's why it's so odd to see Democrats and to see members of the Mick resistance getting in bed with these people. All because they have hatred of Trump in common. These people hate Trump. The intelligence community, they hate Trump because he's too much of a knee-jerk. He'll say, hey, we're going to stay in Afghanistan until we get all their minerals, right? He'll say that because he's too dumb not to. And it's like, no, you're not supposed to say that out loud. You're not supposed to say that out loud, or people might start asking questions we don't want them to ask. That's why they don't like Trump. It's not because they have, so when you hear, oh, these intelligence officials are being political for the first time in over 30 years because of Trump. Yeah, because he's not, like they can't trust that he'll carry on the military-industrial complex as usual because he's such a knee-jerk reactionary. He doesn't know better to not tweet sensitive information on Twitter. He's not the let's smile and go along with endless war president that they're used to for the past 30-some years. Because George H. Bush continued the military-industrial complex with a smile on his face. So did George W. Bush. You know who else did? Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. You know who would have? Hillary Clinton. So in that, and it's not that Trump doesn't want to do that. It's not that Trump's some moral hero that wants to be a non-interventionist. I know he said he did. That was just verbiage garbage. It's that he's so much of a knee-jerk that they can't trust. They can't trust him as easy. Trump is dangerous for their sleight of hand. Forever voting third party says yes, exactly. Marcus says yes because their spines are made of money. Agreed. I wonder if they really hate Trump as much as they hate Russia. I wonder that too, Jesse. They've been pushing for a new Cold War for years. Absolutely. And now they got one. Thank you for sharing that, Kimmy. Agree with everything you guys said. Uppity Bumpkin, new Pentagon strategy takes aim at Russia and China. Yeah, that's not surprising. Those are the superpowers. Let's see here. This is from Long Beach. Dive into this one. And sorry, we're doing a little bit of skimming here, but we got a lot to get through, and I want to make sure we get through everything. Rolling back regulations often comes before a financial meltdown, according to 300 years of history. Interesting. The blame for financial meltdowns often focuses on irresponsible traders and greedy bankers, but politicians whose policies sometimes fan the flames deserve scrutiny as well, according to a fascinating analysis of booms and busts since the 18th century by Jihad Dagher, an economist at the IMF. All right, I'm not familiar with that economist, and I probably butchered that person's name. I apologize. Okay, the cycle of booms followed by deregulation, crises, and re-regulation has repeated itself over the past 300 or so years. This may sound familiar. All right, so here we go. Despite concerns about shaky companies, politicians weakened enforcements and regulations that were put in place after the previous financial crisis, the South Sea Bubble in 1720. By the end of 1825, markets were in a full-blown panic, according to Dagher's research. Stock and bond prices crashed, leading to bank runs and failures. A year later, nearly 10% of England's banks had collapsed, sparking perhaps the first major global banking crisis. Policymakers responded to the turmoil with a range of measures, including trying to shore up the banking system with great levels of capital. What ensued from the 1825 crisis was a series of law, regulations, and reforms that touched all aspects of the financial sector. May sound familiar since the U.S. just went through a similar cycle. Government policies had a role in that panic too. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which purchased mortgage loans from originators, were given affordable housing mandate in 1992, driving them to buy lower quality subprime mortgages to make borrowing cheaper. Policies to make credit more widely available for home purchases, a push that spanned multiple administrations, were further ramped up during George W. Bush's presidency. The industry lobbied hard for changes. Then it all went wrong, as it did many times before. After a housing bubble burst and billions of taxpayer dollars were used to stem the collapse of U.S. financial institutions, politicians responded with the biggest overhaul of financial policy since the Great Depression. The Dodd-Frank Act of 2010 set out to wind down failing financial firms, tightened oversight on the sector, created a new agency for consumer finance laws, and introduced stronger capital requirements, among a raft of other measures. Okay. Since the 2008 collapse, the U.S. economy has dragged itself out of a mire and is growing steadily. Stock markets, meanwhile, are soaring so much that economists have warned they are overheating. The recently passed tax cut, meanwhile, gave those assets an extra boost. I don't necessarily know. I don't believe that's been confirmed. There's actually a lot of economists that said this tax, there's no reason for this tax bill to have gone through. A lot of economists said that there's absolutely no reason for that. We don't need that. In particularly when the stock market is where it is. Even more conservative-leaning economists have said that. So I don't know if I agree with that part of the article. Well, actually, I don't agree with that part of the article. I don't think the tax cut is just going to hurt the poorest among us and give a handout to the corporations who aren't going to reinvest that money. The corporations just aren't going to reinvest that money. So the tax cut is nothing more than a handout to the 1%. That's just definitionally what it is. So 3 centuries of history suggest that now could be a time to strengthen supervision rather than water it down. I would change the word supervision to protections. And yes, this is a time to strengthen protections. And this is something, this article brings up a good point that there is basically, if you really want to strip down the economics of banks go through periods where they loan too much, they overextend themselves, and the people suffer. And then they kind of rein it back in, and maybe they rein it in too much at times, and the people suffer. And it's just this ever-growing struggle to find a middle ground that's never going to happen because banks are all about just gobbling up other banks and are all about overextension. That's what they do. Banks are predatory institutions, and at least 90% of the time. And they're always going to overextend regardless of the consequence to the consumer, to the customer, and to the world at large. So, yeah, I mean, and we have 300 years of history pointing to this stuff. The banks aren't the victims in this case. They're not. They could manage their resources while still lending. They choose not to every single time because their business model isn't built on that. Banks are built on, we're going to keep buying other banks. And we're going to keep buying some of these banks that have drowned themselves. Banks that have failed are bought by banks that have not failed. So what do the banks that have not failed take on? They take on those banks that have failed. And who do they try to squeeze the assets out of? The consumers that were likely victims to a predatory loan scheme. So yeah, and that's how our markets come and go. And so now is definitely a time, considering what happened with all the deregulation of banks, a lot of it even during the Obama years. Now is a time to strengthen protections. And what do we get instead? We get a tax bill that's a handout to the 1%. So yeah, I mean, I don't agree with all the analysis in that article. I think it's an interesting perspective. But I do think that the theme of the article is right on, that, yeah, now is a time for strengthening protections, not loosening them. All right. Thank you for that, Long Beach. Thank you kindly. All right. So this is from Joseph. And Joseph says, oh, hey, wrong. Last year, there was at least 15 to 20 rallies put on by North Dakotan progressives, and this one seemed to be the kickoff for 2018. Thanks. What is this in reference to, though? What was I wrong about? I don't know if they mean I was wrong or what. But either way, we'll get this a Get Your News On with Ron retweet. We're going over to Dakota now. Concerns remain about refinery impact to national park views. The company proposing an oil refinery near Theodore Roosevelt National Park says it will not be visible from the park, but its analysis is limited to 5 observation points in the 46,000-acre South Unit. Meridian Energy Group conducted a study to determine whether the water vapor plume from a cooling tower at the proposed Davis refinery could be seen from within the park. The study was requested by the North Dakota Department of Health, but is not a requirement for the air quality permit the agency is reviewing. The analysis considered 4 points within the south unit of the park: Buck Hill, Painted Canyon Visitor Center, the main visitor center, and the park amphitheater. It concluded that from Buck Hill, the highest observation point in the park, the plume could be visible for an estimated 15 daylight hours a year. It's not going to be this huge column of smoke that people are envisioning, but those who oppose building a refinery 3 miles away from Theodore Roosevelt National Park say the company's analysis doesn't consider views from the eastern portion of the park, such as the Rim Trail. I think the most important thing, and granted, I'm all about parks and I'm all about wildlife and all that, but I mean, the most important thing is the environmental impact that these things have. And if it's if it's disrupting a view at a park, I'd imagine there's other environmental impacts too that are just as, if not more important. And I don't want to see the day where we're like, let's go see the Grand Canyon, kids. And now down and to your left, you see the beautiful refinery. You see the beautiful well. You see the beautiful whatever. So there's been no comprehensive review. While the impact on the refinery on the park views and dark night skies are major concerns for conservationists, those factors won't be analyzed by any state agency. So they don't really take this into account, which is pretty sad. Thank you, Joey. This is from Seth. GOP lawmakers. Oh, this is kind of what we just talked about. Oh, yeah, this is actually literally the same article we just did. All right, so we'll go ahead and skim through that. Here's another thing about Apple. Apple capitalizing. Oh, geez. Okay. I ran out of articles on the New York Times, so I can't read this one. All right. Sorry. Apple plans to bring back the majority of the $252 billion in cash that is long held abroad, capitalizing on the Republican tax law. So Apple was basically, oh, cool, we can just keep it now. Yeah, I got to do the clear the history thing on my computer so that I don't hit my, well, here, we can just Google it and see what other outlets. Apple brings back 252 billion. Boom. All right, so here's from Fortune. I can probably read that one. Apple is paying $38 billion to bring cash back to the U.S. because of tax overhaul. Apple Inc. said it will be bringing hundreds of billions of overseas dollars back to the U.S., pay about $38 billion in taxes on the money, and invest tens of billions on domestic jobs, manufacturing, and data centers in the coming year. The iPhone maker plans capital expenditures of $30 billion in the U.S. over 5 years and will create 20,000 new jobs at existing sites and a new campus it intends to open, the Cupertino, California-based company said in a statement. We are focusing on our investments in areas up, and of course, there's a pop-up. Okay. In its December approval of the most extensive tax code revision since 1986, Congress scrapped the previous international tax system for corporations. So what this article should be, Marcus says lies. I don't think it's lies. I just think the framing is off. I don't think there's any actual lies in here, like in the literal sense. I don't think they're lying about anything. I just think the framing is off. The framing should not be, hey, this tax code's great, so Apple's going to invest some money back home. The framing should be, hey, Apple was storing their money overseas so they could avoid paying their honest share of taxes, even though they had every loophole in the book already. Now they have even more loopholes, so they're just going to bring this money back to the U.S. because they can get away with it even easier. That's what's going on. And people are making it out like oh, these corporations are going to find a way to cheat out of paying their taxes anyway. Well, now they don't have to cheat as much. So we're getting new jobs. No, you're getting new jobs because there's a demand for those jobs. The Apple CEO, Tim Cook, he even admitted, like when he was asked straight up, are these 20,000 jobs a result of the new tax bill? He couldn't say yes. Like he didn't say, oh yeah, we wouldn't be, like he said, oh, well, this is kind of, we were going to plan this anyway, because he faced the dilemma either having to be like, either having to tell the people what, like give the right-wing argument to appease the masses, say, yes, this tax cut's great because we're creating jobs, or he had to not give his company the credit for doing well. You know what I mean? Apple's growing. Apple made $10 billion in profits just in the last quarter of 2017 alone. Apple's growing. They're doing great. According to their 2018 predictions, they're going to need to create new jobs. So they were going to create these jobs anyway. So basically, this CEO had the choice of either, parroting the right-wing narrative that people want him to parrot, or giving his company credit for growing. And he tried to be on the fence. He's like, well, some of this was growth anyway, but I think the tax cut's a good thing. Well, no, you don't get to have it. You don't get to have it both ways. Is it a result? Are these 20,000 jobs a result of the tax cuts or not? You can watch footage of interviews with him done of recent. He pretty much admits, no, it's not. These are just jobs that they needed. There's a demand for these jobs. And forever voting third party. Walmart took credit for an $11 an hour wage while shutting down Sam's Clubs. Yeah, Walmart moved up to almost a living wage. They gave credit to the tax cuts for it. Meanwhile, they're shutting down Sam's Clubs. So they're shutting down places. And meanwhile, you really think the Waltons can't pay their employees a living wage? They can. They choose not to. They choose not to. Walmart does not follow environmental standards. They rely on the welfare of the communities. They exploit the resources in every community they're in. And it's all so they can pad the pockets of themselves and their shareholders. They are an example of true predatory behavior. And because of lack of protections in the United States, they're allowed to get away with it. Just like Apple is allowed to store money overseas to avoid, they have an incredibly low tax rate anyway. Now it's going to be even lower. So they're just bringing some money back home. And these articles are painted as if, oh, look at Apple. They're going to be paying more in taxes. Good on them. Oh, this tax bill gave them more incentive. No. This tax bill makes it even easier for them to cheat. They were already cheating anyway. That's what's going on here. It's just a wall of cheating. So it's not straight up a lie. It's just a very interesting framing, a very deceptive framing of what's really going on. And guys, if you have not sent an article yet, please do not do so. We are pretty much out of time. And we got a few more things to get through. Uppity Bumpkin, thank you so much for the cat picture. I appreciate that. You guys know I love cat pictures. Thank you for doing that. Let's see here. Oh, Joey tweets, I didn't mean to put wrong. I was multitasking. Thank you for covering. The new Renewable Energy Caucus organized a protest rally against the refinery. The rally was last weekend with a decent turnout. We also have 3 rallies tomorrow for the Women's March. He meant to say my name, Ron, not wrong. That's okay, Joey. Thank you for sharing. And I wish you guys all the luck. I am, of course, very much against having refineries on public conservation sites. That kind of defeats the point of conservationists, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So best luck, best wishes to you, Joey. And I'm sure there are environmental impacts too. Let's see. Jennifer tweets this. Colin wants to know, is Lucy sleeping? Yes, she is. Lucy is asleep on the bed. She's not into Get Your News On with Ron. She's the co-host, and she's like, I'll do my part. For anyone not in the know that might be a little newer, Lucy is my cat, my black cat. So let's go to our last article of the day. This is from Jennifer. Oh, Kate put one on Reddit. All right, we will go to that. We also have something on Reddit from Shalice, but I don't think he's here today. So I'll wait on it until he's here. Shalice, if you are here, say something in the chat so I know you're here. My job is to be cute, meow, Jesse says. That's what Lucy says, indeed. All right, this is from Salon. Tom Cotton's cease and desist letter to an activist raises serious First Amendment questions. Tom Cotton's office says they warned an activist to stop contacting them after she used vulgar language. In October, Stacey Lane, a human resources professional of 19 years, got in the mail a cease and desist letter from Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas. The letter, in an envelope addressed to Lane, said that all communications must cease and desist immediately with all offices of U.S. Senator Tom Cotton. Healthcare was a really big issue before I got the letter. I did what I could to call senators and Congress and raise concerns. The letter, now getting attention in the national media, is raising concerns about whether or not it's possible to bar a person from petitioning their government's representatives. Lane says she'd call the office once or twice a week, usually during times that preceded a major vote or legislative action. There would be several weeks where she wouldn't call. My calls were purposeful. According to Tom Cotton's office, Lane, a member of Ozark Indivisible, an activist group part of the resistance movement against the Trump administration, used vulgar language on multiple occasions. The final incident which prompted officials in Cotton's office to administer a cease and desist letter was when Lane allegedly called a 19-year-old intern a cunt. They have it bleeped out here. They have C-T. Obviously that, yeah, we all know what that is. According to Cotton's office, the letter was issued based on the guidance of the U.S. Capitol Police, who has not returned Salon's request for immediate comment. When the cease and desist letter started to make noise on Twitter, John Noonan, senior counsel for military and defense affairs in Cotton's office, tweeted about the event to set the record straight. Lane told Salon she didn't recall calling the intern a cunt. It's a word she's maybe used 2 times in my life. And guys, I'm using the word because it's in the article. I feel like we're all adults here and I can say the word. So I hope that if any of you take offense to it, I feel like in the purpose of reporting the news, we're all adults. We've all heard the word before, and it's okay for me to say it. Jesse sends an emoji. Cotton's office issued a statement about the matter. Now Lane's saying she doesn't recall. Have I used colorful language? Yes, but it's nothing more than I see our president using, Lane told Salon. Cotton's office issued a statement about the matter. If an employee of Senator Cotton receives repeated communications that are harassing and vulgar, or any communication that contains a threat, our policy is to notify the U.S. Capitol's Police Threat Assessment Section, and in accordance with their guidance, send a cease and desist letter. The letter is inappropriate, and I would say it's borderline constitutional, Snyder told Salon. This kind of speech, as offensive as it may be and vulgar it is, it's just part of the game. It's what happens in a democracy. Snyder added that protests by nature are not polite. Of course, the First Amendment doesn't protect threatening language where a person's safety is at risk. So, yeah, that's kind of where I stand on this. Now, when you're calling an official's office, chances are it is an unpaid intern that's answering the phone. Try to keep that in mind. You know, I mean, I try to be, and I've called officials' offices before. I try to be diplomatic and polite because I know that the person answering the phone is not them. But I will give my message. I've left voicemails before. Where I've said things like shame on you to different officials for different reasons. Just using vulgar language, you should not get a cease and desist letter from your representative. I'm sorry. People's emotions are at a high. And when you're going to keep millions of people away from healthcare to please your donors, when you're going to not support living wages to please your donors, when you're going to be okay with poisoning people's well water to please your donors, I think a little vulgar language should be expected. And I think in many ways is warranted. If somebody in Flint, Michigan calls their representative and uses some angry, vulgar language, they should not get a cease and desist letter. their frustration should be heard, and they have every reason to be frustrated. Now, that being said, if you cross a line and you threaten somebody and you do it in a manner that's not protected by the First Amendment, that's different. You know, if you violate First Amendment protections through a call to violence or a call to harming a person or making those types of threats, that's different. But just using the language itself, I'm sorry, you're an elected official. That comes along with the territory. And if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be an elected official. Now, that being said, do we as citizens have an obligation to? Sure, we do. You know, we should definitely try to keep in mind that, you know, the unpaid intern answering the phone does not deserve to be called an expletive. They don't deserve to be called a cunt. They don't deserve to be called anything. And whether or not that happened here is unclear. The person saying, I don't recall doing that, so it's just a he said, she said thing. But, you know, you shouldn't do that to an unpaid intern. They're just, you know, calm down, snowflake, am I right? Yeah, Marcus, I'm with you. I think that, you know, if you're an elected representative, you know, you should be able to handle a little bit of harsh language, because chances are you're doing things that's really ticking people off, especially if you're, you know, if you're a Republican supporting what this administration is doing, or if you're a Democrat that's not supporting what you should be, you know. So I think this is more of an effort to just stifle people. And just like how, you know, politicians aren't holding town halls, politicians aren't, you know, they're saying, oh, you're being rude. And that's absolutely ridiculous. It's your job to report to the people. All right, so even if she did, let's say she did call the intern a cunt, I would say, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. That's an unpaid intern. That's not the official. That's not a person with power. You shouldn't do that. I would recommend not doing it again and trying to conduct yourself differently on the phone. But I think this person, even so, did not deserve a cease and desist letter. They did not deserve a cease and desist letter. I think they were in the wrong, but I don't think it warranted that they no longer have the right to contact their elected representatives. I think that's a ridiculous response. And that's my conclusion on that. All right, we're going over to the Reddit. Sheriff offers to help review police shootings in suburban Cook County. Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart has offered to help police chiefs review whether or not an officer should have opened fire. The move is in response to an investigation by WBEZ and the Better Government Association that found not a single officer was disciplined, fired, or criminally charged in more than 113 police shootings in suburban Cook County since 2005. Cook County's in Illinois. Let me read that sentence again. Not a single officer was disciplined, fired, or criminally charged in more than 113 police shootings in suburban Cook County since 2005. That's just one county in the United States. Over 113 police shootings. Not one officer disciplined, fired, or criminally charged. And what happened yesterday in Columbus? I mean, an officer shot somebody in cold blood in a courtroom, in broad daylight, in a courtroom. Cops are, I mean, it is beyond out of control. Out of control, is an understatement at this point. It is an overly militarized, unregulated killing machine. I mean, really, like, a police officer can kill who they want with no consequence in the United States. They are not serving and protecting. They are upholding for the powerful, and they can do whatever they want to those without power. It's a systemic problem. So don't say not all cops are bad, because that's a straw man. That's not the point here. The point is that the system as a whole is broken beyond repair. The system's broken beyond repair. Beyond repair. It's completely backwards, the way police officers are recruited, the way they're trained, what they're taught, the no consequence that they face. It's a systemic problem. And I think it starts with completely overhauling the system. And it starts with not having these dumb straw man arguments like not all cops are bad. That's not the issue here. That's not what's going on here. These aren't a few outliers. These are participants in a broken system where they can do whatever they want at will. This is not law enforcement. This is unregulated, legal militarization of citizens. That's what this is. This is blunt oppression of citizens in the legal sense. Police are supposed to protect and serve. And then they got militarized. It's pretty much what Forever Voting Third Party says. Yeah, exactly. They were supposed to protect and serve. That's not the case anymore. The system's broken. Not a single officer was disciplined, fired, or criminally charged in more than 113 police shootings in one county since 2005. It's a broken system, folks. It is a broken system. All right. So how come the government is going to get shut down? Somebody, I Got Bars, wants to know. The government might get shut down because Republicans and Democrats can't agree on a short-term spending bill. And the reason they can't is because Democrats are trying to stand up for DACA, allegedly. I have a feeling the shutdown is going to be prevented. But yeah, it's because they can't. It's because Republicans want a pointless wall and don't want to fund DACA. That's why. Trump said he will take the heat. He doesn't have a choice. Trump doesn't have a choice. He will take the heat. Anybody sitting in power is the person that takes the heat. The president and the party that's in power will take the heat. It will be the Republicans and Trump. Jennifer W. sent a story. Yeah, we already did it. We already did Jennifer's story. She's the one, she sent the thing about the cease and desist letter. Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. So guys, we are totally out of time. So thank you guys so much. It's amazing how he's trying to... All right, let's see here. It's amazing how he's trying to blame Democrats, the nerve, LOL. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be able to blame Democrats with this. The blame's going to fall on the Republicans. And the Democrats have every political football to really plant their feet in the sand and say, no, you got to help us with DACA. You got to get for DACA. I have a feeling they're going to cave on everything else, though, too. So I have a feeling the shutdown will be prevented. We'll see. We'll know very soon here. It's already 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll know very soon. We'll see what happens. This is in real time, folks. But guys, please tweet the cop article, Ron. Did I not tweet it yet? No, I didn't. You're right. Wait, I did. I think I already did, but let me retweet it again. All right. Yeah, I already tweeted it. Thank you, Henry. Henry says, thanks for another great show, Ron. Thank you very much. Guys, we are totally out of time. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. You guys tweet me articles at Ron Placone, or you post them on the Reddit, and that's how we build the show. thank you so much for your participation. I cannot do this show without you. And guys, a little bit of housekeeping here to end. It does look like they are going to demonetize my channel on YouTube. So if you are so able, your support means more than anything. I need your support more than anything. If you are so able, patreon.com/Ron Placone, where for as little as $1 a month, you get a buttload of exclusive content. I give you guys an exclusive podcast once a week. I give an exclusive video, writing, or other type content thingy once a week. You can go to any of my shows for free. If you're a patron, any of my shows you want to go to, you get to go for free. And also, we've been doing like some meetups, some post-show meetups via the Patreon. It's been going really cool. So guys, if you are so able, you can give as low as $1 a month. It's less than a cup of coffee per month. Please do consider it. And guys, thank you so much, most importantly, for participating in this show. I could not do this show without you. You guys are my executive producer. I do not have any of these stories pre-planned. You guys send them to me. And without you, this show wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be Get Your News On with Ron. It would be like Ron wants to get his news on, but no one cares. Ron's just all alone, wants to get his news on, and nobody's getting their news on with him. It would just be me holding up a sign that says, please get your news on with me. If it wasn't for you guys, the show would have to be called Please Get Your News On with Ron. I'd have my Jeb Bush moment, just right on a live stream, just like, please, guys, please. One of these days, you're all going to punk me, and no one's going to send an article just to fuck with me and see what I do. And it'll be pretty funny. I'll be laughing as well. But I appreciate that you guys haven't done that to me yet. Because seriously, guys, thank you so much for sending the articles. If I did not get to your article, I apologize. The show is growing, which is awesome. And I'm so, and again, thank you guys so much. Because you guys helped it grow. You guys are helping it grow. You guys are showing people how to participate. And you're helping it grow. And that means so much. And thank you so much. If I did not get to your article, I am very, very sorry. Some of you guys sent more than one, so I might not have gotten to all the things you sent because I wanted to make sure we got as many different people as possible. So thank you guys so much. It means the world to me. We do this every Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, Tuesday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then over on the YouTube, we post clips throughout the day. So thank you guys so much for being part of this. I'll send you off with the theme song. Get your news on, Ron. I wanna know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Get your news on, Ron. I wanna know what's going on. We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on, Ron. I wanna know what's going on. Get our news on today. Yeah, 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 yeah. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Thank you guys so much. Follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone. RonPlacone.com. Find out when I'm coming to a city near you. Patreon.com/Ron Placone if you are so able. I love you all very much. Thank you so much for being part of this. Have a great weekend. I will see you Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a good weekend, Live Me. Have a good weekend, YouTube. Thank you guys so much for your participation. You make this show possible. I love you all very much. Peace.